Hey, this is Jennifer and Megan. We are two sisters from South Carolina on a mission to discover more about our British grandmother's life in London by reading, researching, and sharing her love letters she wrote to her American soldier sweetheart during World War II. Our grandmother Lucy was born and raised in London, England, and our grandfather Jimmie was born and raised in South Carolina. He was in the U.S. Army and was stationed near Salisbury when they first met. At some point, he visited London and he and Lucy met somewhere in Covent Garden. At the time of the first letter that we have, Lucy and Jimmie had met, fallen in love, gotten engaged, and were planning on getting married in London and then moving to South Carolina once the war was over. But before they were able to get married, Jimmie was shipped off to France. They thought he would be coming back to London sometime soon after leaving, but as we now know, that didn't happen. And from the moment they departed at the train station, it will be 2 years before they are reunited. And so this 2-year period that they were apart is what gave us these letters we are reading today. It's such a beautiful love story that we just have to share it. Also, it's taken a life of its own as we've made so many awesome discoveries along the way, and it has become an ongoing research project. So, if you're looking for an interesting, unique perspective on life, love, and London during World War II, then you've found the right place. We will take you through each letter and bring them to life as we have recently traveled to some of the exact places mentioned in these letters. Think of this as a historical love story come to life. So, grab your favorite beverage and blanket and prepare to dive in with us. This is the All My Love, Lucy podcast. Are you ready?
I think so.
Hey, and welcome back to the All My Love, Lucy podcast. We're so glad you're here with us for episode number 19.
Yes, thank you all so much for joining us and hanging out with us and for all the love and support.
Absolutely. We are having a blast and we hope you're enjoying it. And if you're a first-time listener, we say this almost every time, but if you're a first-time listener, just go back and start with episode number 1. Things will make more sense. It's more like a series. We do the letters in chronological order, so you'll understand what we're talking about as we refer back to things. So first of all, today we want to start off with some appreciation. As most of you have probably seen, we were featured in an article in a newspaper.
I still can't believe it.
I cannot believe it either. And so we definitely want to give many thanks to Merrick Gosney. He's the reporter for the Newbury Weekly News for the incredible newspaper article that he did. And we'll hold that up for you. Yay! He did a fantastic job with this. We are so pleased with it. It's just so special. And I told him that we were going to frame one of them. He sent us several copies. We were so thankful. And we're going to frame one of them and put them in with Lucy and Jimmie's things and the memorabilia and all that. So that will be in there for generations to come. So
cool.
Awesome.
So exciting.
So thank you, Merrick. You did a fantastic job. You've been a pleasure to work with and to just talk with. I've really enjoyed talking to you, and we just want to say thank you. So next off, we want to say thank you to our cousin Mary for the amazing interview that she did with us a couple weeks ago now. Mm-hmm. And that was so fun.
That was such a great interview.
I really
enjoyed watching that.
Yeah.
I hate I couldn't do it with you guys, but y'all did great. It was awesome.
Yeah, we missed having you, and Mary's such a fun person, and she just makes you smile, and she's just great. I enjoyed it so much. So thank you, Mary. We really appreciate that, and we're going to have her back on here too. I told her we would do another one later. So
good.
Maybe have her on as a regular.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Also, equally as amazing was the interview with Michael Godbout. As many of you know, he's the author of the book Key to Command that we refer to almost weekly, and that was awesome.
Yes, it was. That was a good one, too.
Yeah, well, it was such an honor to interview him and talk with him about all of the things in the book and then in his life. It was just really, really amazing experience. So thank you. And then next this has not been released yet on air, but we have done the interview with Sarah Walker
with the BBC Radio Berkshire morning show. She interviewed us on June 12th, and they're going to send it to us when it airs. So we'll let y'all know as soon as that happens. We're waiting for that. We're excited about that.
I know. I can't stop thinking about it.
I know. It blows my mind to think about it. Just all of a sudden started happening.
Yeah, all at once.
All at once, yeah. So we're excited about. Oh, and then on WLFJ, a local radio station, also features. We didn't even know about that one, but on the Rob and Liz morning show, they talked about the podcast and the letters and all that. Surprisingly, I had no idea, and I woke up one morning to several text messages from Laura and Sherry, and they were saying, I heard your story on the radio this morning. I was like, what? And so they told us that it was on WLFJ. And so we looked and found that. That was really cool, too. So
yeah, it was super cool. I know Mama called me. I was on the way to the beach, and she's like, you guys are on the radio? Just like, so excited.
I know.
I'm like, you are kidding me right now.
Yeah.
There's no way.
Yeah. I know. I couldn't believe it. So that's been a lot of fun. It's been so much fun. The past couple of weeks have just been exciting, filled with excitement, and we appreciate everyone who has taken the time to acknowledge and recognize our grandparents' story and to talk about the podcast on whatever media format they have. It's been amazing. So we definitely wanted to take the time to show some great appreciation because we are very grateful.
Yes, absolutely.
For everyone. So don't forget, we will have an uninterrupted reading of the letter that we're going to talk about this episode at the end of the episode. And then also, can you believe next week will be 20 letter episodes? Now, I don't include the interview episodes. I count those separate. But 20 letters that we've talked about and read.
And it's just the beginning. Like, it's just scratching the surface.
Yeah, we're just into the beginning of August. So, yeah. It's been crazy. But next week, we're going to have some trivia with some prizes like we did before on our 10th episode. And we're going to give away a couple of things. So just make sure that you tune in for that. And we're excited about that. So with all that said, y'all know I talk a lot. Let's get started with this next letter, letter number 19.
August 4th, 1944. My darling sweetheart, I have finished most of my cleaning, and before I have a bath and go to bed, I want to write a few lines to my darling so that there will be another letter on the way. I received your lovely long letter today telling me you had received your stationery. Well, darling, I am glad you enjoyed your shower bath, and I am sorry you had to wait so long for it, and I can imagine how refreshing it felt.
So, a couple of things here, and I'm going to talk a little bit more. First of all, I wanted to talk about, I thought I would start looking up the weather, like on the days that she wrote the letters. So, I've done it some in the past, but if I can find the weather on the certain days, then I want to just tell what it was. So, the weather on this day, on August the 4th, 1944, 71 degrees Fahrenheit, 22 degrees Celsius. It was windy and sunny in London. That sounds perfect to me.
It really does, yes.
That sounds like our weather when we went. And then also, she talks about here him receiving his stationery, and she's been talking about that for a while now. So it took him a while to receive that. So he finally got it. So we're glad. So that's been a while. But also, the shower and bath situation. I got to thinking about this. And I know, during the wartime, I knew there was, the rations. We've talked about clothes rations and food rations and different things. But there was also rations when it came to the bath water.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah. So listen to this. So I'm not sure about Jimmie and in the war situation, what their shower and bath situation was like. How often they got to bathe or take a shower. But during World War II, life in London, of course, we've learned was difficult. And with the rationing, the hardships, the resource scarcities, all of that. And bathing, of course, was no exception. They were allowed only 5 inches of bath water per week.
How is that even possible?
Per week.
I can't even fathom. 5 inches.
5 inches. Look, I even brought the measuring tape because I wanted to.
Did you really?
Yeah. Look.
Oh my gosh.
Look. Hold your hand up. Can you imagine
No.
that much bath water?
No.
Yeah. That much bath water.
That
5
just blew
inches.
my mind.
Now, that's per week. That's not per day. That's per week.
How do you get clean?
Now, get this. Get this. If there was more than one person in the household, they had to share that same 5 inches of bath water.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. They had to share it. Can you imagine?
No, absolutely not. That just seems unreal to me.
Yeah.
Like, I have a very hard time believing.
Yeah. There's
that.
there's articles, you can look it up, and like they would mark their bathtub with paint or something, black paint, so they would know where to fill it up to, so they wouldn't have to measure it every time, but they could know that that was the fill line, like max amount of water. 5 inches. And it was nothing. I mean, that's like nothing.
That's just crazy.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to say about that.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I got to thinking about what they both talked about. She talked about her taking a bath, and then she talked about him taking a shower bath. And I'm guessing shower bath was probably shower, you know. But yeah, 5 inches of bath water per week.
It's sad. I know I feel like I'm kind of laughing, but it's really,
Oh yeah,
it's really sad.
Oh yeah. And I think, you know, imagine if you were in a household with 5 children or something.
Oh, God.
And the last person to get that bath would just be in the water with the filth of everyone else. I can't imagine. But
Can't either.
additionally, listen to this. Now we would not make it. And I know, like you said, it's kind of humorous to think about, but then when you really think about it, it's like, oh my gosh, how in the world? But each family received just 1 toilet paper roll per week. We probably use 1 per day, like with 4 people here.
Wow.
At least one every other day, probably. But sometimes, because like, I don't know, do y'all use toilet paper to blow your nose?
Sometimes,
Yeah,
I guess.
so like when you're sick or something, you're blowing your nose a lot, then we go through toilet paper like crazy. But
Yeah.
1 per week is how much they were allowed.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so
That's just unreal.
imagine that. Imagine the challenge.
can't.
Yeah,
I really can't.
Imagine trying to keep your hygiene. Like, imagine trying to keep yourself clean under those kind of constraints like that.
I really just could not.
Yeah, it's a different time. It's definitely something that I cannot imagine doing. But despite these difficulties, there were occasional moments of relief. I read about this. Sometimes a shower and underwear replacement unit would arrive, allowing people to have a hot shower and receive fresh underwear. Now, I did not really look into that, so I don't really understand that whole thing enough to really talk about it. But I am going to look more into that, about the replacement units. Overall, life during wartime in London demanded resilience and resourcefulness. People coped with very limited supplies for food and clothing, and they had to come up with creative solutions to everyday challenges that we take a lot of things for granted that I can't imagine living the way they did. But again, we've mentioned this many times on the podcast, it's another testament to the resilience and the strength and all of that of the people of London. They were a resilient people and probably still are.
Oh, yeah.
So, okay, so moving on. Where is Jimmie? Jimmie is right now still in France, in Marigny, if I'm saying that right. It's a French area in the vicinity of Saint Martin de Senilly, France. And please forgive me, I'm probably not pronouncing that correctly. But that's the place where they first tasted the Calvados. He's still there, but he's departing from there tomorrow, August 5th, 1944. And he's going to be headed to Saint Cécile, and that is in Villedieu, France, which is about 40 miles away from where he is on August 4th. So he's kind of moving along. The work that Jimmie was doing with the 50th Signal Battalion, as mentioned before, is extremely important. And they were not exempt from being in the line of fire. And next week, I should have sent you this, but it was very interesting. We're going to read more about some of the events that took place with Jimmie during this time. including an ambush and some casualties that they suffered. And Jimmie was directly involved in that. And so Michael Godbout explained a lot of that to me. But we'll talk more about that next time. Another thing, I was looking up what was going on August 4th, 1944, and this popped up. A key moment in history, huge moment in history. After spending 25 months in hiding, Anne Frank and the 7 others that were hiding in the secret annex with her were discovered by the Gestapo in Amsterdam, arrested, and sent to the concentration camps, where all of them but one died.
Wow.
On this very date. The 8 people that were hiding in that secret annex, I thought, well, we need to mention these people. Not just Anne Frank. She is very important and very key person in history. But the other people that were there with her were her father, Otto Frank, her mother, Edith, her sister, Margot, a family friend, Herman Van Pels, and Herman's wife, August, if I'm saying that right. Herman and August's son, Peter Van Pels, and a dentist, Fritz Pfeffer, I think is how you say that. So it's worth taking the time to talk about this on this specific date. Huge moment in history. We know Anne Frank was very significant in telling the story in her diary. And so Otto, Anne's father, is actually the only one out of those 8 that survived, who survived the concentration camps. And I think he died in 1980 something maybe. I think he lived on into old age. But it's crazy to think about that probably while Lucy was writing this letter, or definitely the same day, Anne Frank and her family were being captured.
Wow. That's really something to think about.
Yeah. Yeah. Because, when you read and you think about the stories and you think about Anne Frank's diary and you've seen the movie and all that, it seems like such a distant part of history to think about. Our grandmother was an adult, 36 years old, sitting there writing a letter
at the same
time that was going on. So that these events were not that long ago.
Right.
This horrifying thing that was going on in history was not that long ago.
She goes on to say, "Dearest, your ears must be smoldering by now, for I have been telling everyone about your having got another stripe. And I'm so proud of you because you must have been working hard."
So again, we talked about this last time. If you've missed that episode, Jimmie has received a promotion, as we see in the morning reports that Michael Godbout sent us. But the T5 rank that he has achieved is equivalent to corporal, and its insignia is 2 chevrons with a T underneath.
"It is exactly 3 months today since you had roast pigeon and took me shopping to buy my ring. And then we had a taxi home, and you brought me those lovely flowers, and I am as thrilled as ever with my ring and love you more and more."
We talk about this ring quite often, and for those of you that have not seen it, I'll show it again. The light's kind of, you can see it. I don't know if you can see it very well. Let's see if I can hold it up to the camera a little better. That sapphire in the middle and the diamonds around. So beautiful. And she loved it. She absolutely loved it. And I've said this before. She wore that. I can remember her wearing that every day in everyday life growing up, that being on her finger. But we now know what Jimmie had to eat that day. We know where they ate, at the Lyon's Corner House, and that was the day they departed from one another at the train station later on. Remember, I think it's the first episode that we talked about that. So, and now we know what Jimmie had to eat. We don't know what Lucy had to eat, but we know what Jimmie had to eat. He had roast pigeon.
Yum.
Yum. I've never had roast pigeon. Have you?
I can't say I have either, no.
So, but Lyon's Corner House is where they ate, and it's located in Piccadilly Circus. It is now the building where Wizards and Wonders is. It's like a Harry Potter, Game of Thrones type gift shop where you can buy the licensed merchandise for those movies there at that shop. And it used to be, like I said, the restaurant, Lyon's Corner House, and was the place that Lucy and Jimmie ate together for the last time ever in London. They ate lunch there, and then when he departed from the train station that day, they were never back in London together again in their lifetime. Lucy returned. She went back. She visited family, but Jimmie never went back. And so we know that Jimmie was also shipped not back to London when he was finished in his war duties. He had to go back to the United States, so he did not come back to London before he left Europe. So this day that they ate together and he had roast pigeon, that was his last meal in London ever in his life. And now we know what it was. I just think that's cool.
That is super cool, yeah.
So Megan and I unexpectedly finished our London adventures in that very spot. We had planned to go there on a different day at a different time, and everything just kind of worked out, and we ended up there on our last night before we had to leave very early the next morning to come back to the U.S., and so that was just a really cool moment. And so right now we want to take a pause, and we're going to show you a video here of us walking down the street in Piccadilly Circus, and when we come upon the building there where the Lyons corner house was, where Lucy and Jimmie ate that last meal. So enjoy this. So we hope y'all enjoyed that video of seeing the Lyons Corner House building there. We thought that was so neat. We did go inside, and I was just a little skittish about videoing because there's so many people in there, and I didn't want to have a camera in anyone's face, you know. But yeah. So we did get to go inside, and we had our picture taken in front of the building, and so that was another one of those surreal moments on our trip. And then also she talks about the ring shop, or her ring, and them going to the ring shop. And that is on New Bond Street. And if you're familiar with London and you know anything about the shopping district in London, New Bond Street is world famous for its luxury shops and high-end fashion. And we were clueless. Like, we did not know this at all before we went.
Yeah, we had no idea what we were getting into.
The Ritz is like right around the corner, and when we got off the bus there, we were like, that's the Ritz. And then we walked around the corner to the street, the New Bond Street, and we started walking down the street and looking around. And what were your thoughts when you started seeing things like Chanel and Gucci and all of Louis Vuitton? What were your thoughts?
It was just a whole different world. I loved it, though.
I did love it, but I did, you know, we went inside Tiffany's, and that's just not a world that I belong in.
Yeah.
At least not right now. But it was fun. It was a lot of fun. But if you're looking for a designer handbag or a special outfit or anything like that, that's the place to do it. You'll find all those big names, big designer names there. And so we were really shocked that the ring shop that Jimmie bought Lucy's ring was on that street at the very end. And so it's not like a regular jewelry shop anymore. It's a very high-end watchmaker shop now. And we did get to go inside of it and have our picture made and kind of told the people a little bit about our story, our grandparents' story. So that was another highlight of our trip. And New Bond Street is also mentioned somewhere. Where's it mentioned?
Oh, funny you should ask. It's actually a funny story because there's this particular song that I have listened to for years and years and years. And I was listening to it on the plane ride back home.
And who sings it?
And it's called London Boy by Taylor Swift. And I really listened to the words and realized that she mentioned New Bond Street or Bond Street in it. And then Camden Market, the market that we accidentally ended up at.
Yeah, instead of Borough Market.
Yeah. So that was pretty cool to hear that.
That is right. So, again, it's world famous. It's very well known. And we were clueless. And we got out at this street and had no idea what we were in for. But it was really, really a great experience.
Yes, it was incredible.
It's known for not just fashion and designer bags and things like that, but also jewelry, some of the best jewelry stores in London and art galleries and all of that. So very neat experience. And then when we got to the ring shop, another surreal moment to think about Lucy and Jimmie walking in there to buy her ring that we have here.
Well, dearest, take great care of yourself. In meantime, I shall just keep reading your letter over and over again until I get another one. With all my love, from your Lucy.
So we continue on this journey with Lucy and Jimmie, and next time Lucy describes some of the home decor in her flat at 133.
Oh, I can't wait for that.
I know. I was reading that and I thought, this is so cool. And I found some pictures of the inside of the flat there on a realtor's website. It does have a copyright on it, so I have reached out to them to see if I can grab some of those pictures and use them for the next episode so that we can show you what it looks like on the inside. Of course, it'll look a little different, but still, you get the layout and you see where everything is. And so hopefully I'll have that by next time. It's a really interesting letter. Also, as we mentioned in the beginning, next week will be our 20th letter episode, and we're going to have some trivia and some prizes to give away. So make sure you tune in for that one. Don't miss any of our upcoming episodes.
Make sure you guys subscribe, follow, like, comment, all the things.
All the things.
Share with your friends. And you can even email us at allmylovelucy@gmail.com if you have any questions, comments, or, just want to add anything.
Yeah. If you hear us talking about something and you know something about it, we'd love to hear from you. Love to hear
for sure.
Any comments or experiences that you've had. So that's it. Got anything else? We haven't been going live. I missed that. We kind of changed our recording schedules a little different. So maybe we can work it out to get together and go live again sometime. I had fun with that.
I really did too.
Yeah, but thank y'all so much for joining us. And as promised, we're going to have an uninterrupted reading of the letter here. And until next time, we hope you enjoy. August 4th, 1944. My darling sweetheart, I have finished most of my cleaning, and before I have a bath and go to bed, I want to write a few lines to my darling so that there will be another letter on the way. I received your lovely long letter today telling me you had received your stationery. Well, darling, I am glad you enjoyed your shower bath, and I'm sorry you had to wait so long for it, and I can imagine how refreshing it felt. Dearest, your ears must be smoldering by now, for I have been telling everyone about your having got another stripe, and I'm so proud of you because you must have been working hard. It is exactly 3 months today since you had roast pigeon and took me shopping to buy my ring, and then we had a taxi home and you bought me those lovely flowers, and I am as thrilled as ever with my ring and love you more and more. Well, dearest, take great care of yourself, and meantime, I shall just keep reading your letter over and over again until I get another one. With all my love, from your Lucy. If you are hearing this message, you've listened to the entire episode, and for that, we want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts. We truly hope you enjoyed this episode, and we hope you'll return for the next episode of the All My Love Lucy podcast.